Hey everyone, this is Jordan from LUTsLounge.com. In this video, I'm going to go over a Photoshop editing tip. I've had a lot of people who have written messages and comments on videos talking about they also like to see Photoshop or photo related tutorials along with the video tutorials that I usually do on Final Cut Pro. So I thought I'd make a few videos highlighting some really cool features in Photoshop. I may actually jump into Lightroom as well, but I wanted to show you some cool features in Photoshop that actually could possibly kind of translate over to Final Cut or video editing in general. But this one, I want to talk about a neural filter in Photoshop. Neural filters are these kind of AI generated filters that will do various specific things. And the one I want to talk about right now is called the depth blur filter. So if you're in Photoshop, I have this photo. I want to make the background of this photo a little bit more blurry. It's typically called bokeh. I want to get a little bit more bokeh effect in this photo. If you have like an iPhone or any smartphone typically does this kind of feature now, but where you can change the f-stop or the aperture of a photo to make it blurry or non-blurry. This is kind of going to do the same thing. So we have this photo here, and to access this neural filter, you need to go up to filter up here and then go to neural filters. Now on the right here, you're going to see featured filters and beta filters. The featured filters are typically the ones that are a little bit more tested and they work pretty well. You're going to see on the beta section, we have 4 filters here, and you're going to see depth blur. Beta filters are obviously filters that will work on your photos, but they could have a couple little bugs and hiccups in them. Personally, on the depth blur, I have not seen anything that has messed up a photo or it hasn't worked very well. It's actually worked pretty darn well. So we're going to try that. So you will notice down here, some of these have a cloud icon next to them where you have to download the filter. If you've never opened neural filters before, you're probably going to have that on the depth blur as well. So all you got to do is click the download button and it will download it directly to your Photoshop. You don't have to install it or anything like that. Just download it directly there. And then you'll have the little toggle button here. So on this photo, I'm going to go ahead and click here and toggle the filter on. You can see down here it's going to be processing the photo to kind of get the AI going on what is actually in the photo. Now over here on the right, you're going to see some options here. You're going to see focus on the subject. So right now it's actually focusing on the person. It detected there's a person in the image, and we can focus on that person. We can do the focal range, which basically means you can get on the left side, it's very blurry. Over here is going to be not as blurry. So you can change the focal range as well. You can change the blur strength, which is what we will do. And you can also do a couple little tonal adjustments as well. Add some haze, change the color temperature, blah, 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 blah. You can do a lot of cool, fun stuff there. So what we're going to do is actually toggle off the focus subject, and we're going to select the subject. This is obviously this is a portrait. The AI has detected there's a portrait here, but in case you have a subject that maybe like a building or something like that you want to highlight, you can actually just go ahead and click on this image, and it'll put a little pin on where you want the focal range to start. So on the focal range, we're going to leave it as 0 because we want as much background blur as possible. You can actually already see there is in this photo naturally, there is a lot of background blur as well, but we want to increase that. So now we're going to go to the blur strength. We're just going to go ahead and crank it all the way up to 100. And it's going to go ahead and blur that out and get it working in there. And there we go. It applied the blur, the maximum blur that we will get out of this photo. And it actually looks pretty well. It did a good job cutting around the person, feathering the hair, that kind of stuff. It did a pretty good job. We can also change the temperature if we wanted to. Again, the tint, saturation, the brightness, add some grain as well. We're not going to do that, but you can definitely do that and play around with it. But just note that when you change these sliders here, depending on your machine, it might take a little bit of time for these effects to take effect. You know, you might not see it right away. It might still be processing in the background. So if you do move a slider, just give the computer time to catch up with that, because this is a kind of intensive process, and allow it to take the effect before you start thinking that something's wrong or your computer froze up or whatever. So you can see that it applied there here. One thing we're going to change down here, which we already did, but I'm going to show you where this is where you can do it, is the output. It'll probably be set on current layer. Go ahead and change that to new layer. So I'm going to have it click on new layer, and I'm going to click OK. All right, so it actually exported a brand new layer with the effect here. And the reason I did that is because I want to show you the kind of before and after here. So this is with the depth blur effect off. And then if we toggle this on, that is with it on. It looks very natural. It actually looks like it was taken on a very nice lens with a very low aperture number. You know, an f2.8 or something like that. It actually looks pretty natural. So there are other ways of accomplishing this in Photoshop, you know, creating a layer, cutting out the subject, blurring out the background, all that kind of fun stuff. But this is a really cool way of doing it, all using AI, and it actually works pretty well. So play around with some more of the neural filters. Definitely play around with this one. If you have a couple of photos of your kids or wife or husband or whoever, and you want to play around with adding that bokeh, that depth blur effect in your images. So I hope you guys enjoyed this photo tutorial. I'll probably be doing more of these because I actually do like doing photo tutorials as well as video tutorials. And we're going to get into all kinds of stuff, color grading, different kind of creative effects that you can do. And it's going to be kind of a cool little journey. So thank you guys for joining me in this video. Head on over to lutslounge.com. A lot more tutorials over there, and we also got some products as well that will assist you in your video editing and also some photo editing stuff. So thank you guys for joining me in this video, and I'll see you in the next one.